Welcome back, everybody, and here we are with the final game of this month's EU Contenders Trials. Angry Titans coming up against Raw Esports. Big Hungry Phil and LaFon still with you. LaFon, what have we got to look forward to with this one?
I mean, this is a match of pride more than anything else in terms of standings, right? So I'm expecting to see both teams come out and say they have something to prove. Angry Titans versus Roar, as we highlighted. Some players on these teams that you may be familiar with. You may also not. There's some young players here in terms of their professional experience. So I think this is, again, more of a staging ground than anything else. You're playing for pride. You're playing for to get noticed more than anything, I think, at this point in time. So I would expect a good game nonetheless, but certainly one that both these teams are playing to close out Contenders Trials.
That's right. Angry Titans just missing out on getting that second place in Contenders Trials in their match against Avoided yesterday. So unfortunately, they're out of the running. Still in a pretty good position here to make an admirable run at third. And Raw Esports, they were looking very, very good yesterday. So if they can continue this this standard of play that we've seen from them, they can at least make Angry Titans work for it here.
I would agree with that. I mean, we'd say that Angry Titans probably has the edge here in this matchup, but it's not one that I'm extremely convinced about. You can make an argument, I think, for both squads and have a fair point to be made. So I'm curious to see how that first fight is going to go, because again, this first map, it's going to tell us a lot about how the power level, so to speak. And yes, we are at the end of Trials, but I think we still have questions about a couple of the teams, especially the ones that are not in first and second, as these two are not. So looking forward to see what they bring to us here on Ilios.
Yeah, it's interesting that, we kind of know through placements who the top two teams are. We know through placements who the bottom two teams are, but there's a lot of information still to be found in the middle. LaFon, one player in particular I want to draw your attention to yesterday, and those of you that tuned in for yesterday's broadcast where I was working alongside Kenobi will doubtless recognize the name Admiral Raptor, who will be playing the Brig, more than likely, for Raw Esports, and he put on an absolute clinic on the Brig yesterday. He was doing so much for his team. He was in the kill feed. He was keeping people alive. He had rally every 10 seconds. Like, this guy has a huge amount of potential here if we see him out on that hero.
We are going to head directly into Ruins, though, Phil, as the gates unlock. We're not going to see a true double shield dive here from Angry Titans, and kind of an anti-counter dive on Roar's side.
Yeah, this is interesting. The Hog Orisa, something I feel like we've not seen in a long time. Look here, behind lines, waiting for his target. Can't quite find the pick there, but will force an early immortality field out from Zytel. No longer have that to work with, and look, did manage to get a cheeky 1/3 of the ultimate ready to go on that pulse bomb. Crocs is going to get hooked and dealt with stunningly quick. The flame on the Sombra, looking for value on the high ground, can't find the hacks, and enough of his team has gone, so that is going to be Raw taking the first cap.
We don't see a ton of Roadhog, as he doesn't have much utility in terms of his team in general, but there is one section where he definitely excels, and that's in shutting down a dive target if he can get that hook off, and Prox did not have his jump pack available, so gets stuck, gets taken out, and that starts the point towards Raw Esports. Naru hacked up, though.
You hack a Roadhog, he just becomes a big, meaty old battery more than he normally is. And the one thing it does do there is it forces out Zytor's immortality field, which opens the door for Love to throw in the pulse bomb, taking Fruity out of the fight. It's going to be a man advantage now for Angry Titans as they look to try and recontest it. Nasson has the minefield ready to go, and Doggo is going to take Eli out of the fight. Rally from Admiral Raptor is just not going to be enough to deal with the incoming damage here from the Angry Titans. Comes off to stop Teemo escaping, and that is going to be the fight one of the point split.
And that's at the 50% mark, so you still have some room to work with here. And, we also talk about ult economy in general Overwatch since GOATs became a thing, but in Dive, we don't really have that. We don't work about those tools too much because of how quickly they generate. And but that being said, I mean, EMP online here for Little Flame. With everyone in a corridor, this could be disastrous.
There's the EMP, the power driver in over top. Minefield Swanson ready, not going to be committed into that one. Pulls from out and Look here, as well as a couple lessons from Doggo. So they wanted to win this fight, and they wanted to win it as convincingly as possible.
It certainly was. It was a 5-man EMP. The only one not caught it was Zytor, but even the immortality field was not enough to defend everyone. And that is going to be a full stop. But there's still a significant resources on the point. Canadian has the minefield which, you know, against a non-moving target like, or non-moving composition that is being run out here, can be a death knell.
We're getting hooked out of it. Interesting positioning here from Brookie, and just as Crocs is blasted by with the whole hog, finds the connect and takes him out of the fight. Raw with an opening now. Timo is able to find Starboy here, and Angry Titans might be wanting some of those ults they threw into that one back, because it is only just 64% of the point cap, and it's looking good for Angry Titans to hold on to the majority of their ultimates.
Yeah, that was a very cheap fight, actually, for Roar, as Crocs gets the last second rake and test. Close to last fight territory, though, for Angry Titans. Okay. Lev just making sure, or sorry, Little Flame making sure that no one can get back to play up aggressively. They don't want to be caught in choke.
And if you're Angry Titans, you're coming into this almost at the EMP, but with realistically only a sound barrier. How do you play this around what Raw have?
I mean, you have to deny out. Well, there's a supercharger early. They're just going to go in, love down.
He just absolutely domes Love. Eli pops in the blizzard, finds the kill onto Crocs. Pookie on the high ground, continuing to do work, and now things are kind of flipped here. Last fight territory for both teams, but advantage for Raw.
I mean, you did get out the sound. You traded for the sound barrier, Blizzard, Supercharger, and Rally. So this EMP now, as long as you dodge the stuns, which is easier said than done, certainly, could be a ton of value here.
Playing very far apart at the minute are Raw, so the Titans struggling to find a place for this EMP, but finds a pick with a neutral. Spooky's going to go down, Zaitor 2. Eli's able to get one pick here, and we do have the whole hold making a lot of space, but it doesn't connect with too many targets. Dogger's able to get a kill in the meantime. Timo's going to go down here as well. Admiral Raptor falling very low. It's going to be on to Bookie to try and rush to point to try and get some sort of value here. Actually, no. Angry Titans look to have the flip here. Raw Esports, they've got a little bit of time. Just a little.
They've got that one fight, but the run into the EMP, Little Flame was actually taken out before he could commit to it. And it ended up being their saving grace. Eli going to switch over to the Reaper here, trying for that burst damage, I think specifically onto Crocs and Kanason. But again, they're walking into an EMP, and so shutting down all the abilities in the last fight, such a disastrous thing.
Did get found out, but it was too late to stop that EMP coming through. Hits up both tanks, and Timo's going to get focused down over the back of him. And that's able to roll back to the point to keep that contest going. Crocs ducks forward into the front line, swings the monkey arm, and buys the space to stop the recontest. Angry Titans are going to take this first point on Helios.
Very, very close round, but again, the fight that was won without the EMP sets up that EMP for last. And without any of your abilities, you start to become a very weak target. Something that we have to highlight is that we talked about the Roadhog, right, in terms of what do they accomplish. And early on, we saw what Naru on the Roadhog accomplished. Gets that hook off onto Crocs and sets things up pretty spectacularly for the opening. Unfortunately, after that, no real hooks were found, so you don't get any of that one-shot potential onto the dive targets, and then the Roadhog just becomes a bit of an ult battery. So that is, as you said, a bit of an issue in that engagement. We are going to head to well, though, so compositions are going to switch up from Angry Titans. It's going to be that poke composition. Little Flame will go over to the Genji here after the teleport. Meanwhile, it is going to be sort of the old-style Ryan Orisa from Roar.
Yeah, it feels like a while since we've seen this run in this series. He's going to take a lot of damage on the way in here. Wall comes up and stops the retreat, allowing Eli to get a pick. And we have to feel his up the mouth and down again very quickly, but being trapped in a small room with a Mei is very unlikely to work out for you unless the Mei is on your team, of course.
Yeah, it really isn't a Little Flame side as he's taken out, being frozen down. And he switches.
Get the pick. Nearly gets it. Nearly gets it.
There is going to be a switch coming in here for Angry Titans. They're going to send Crocs over to the Reinhardt. They want that cleave damage in play from the Reinhardt. Little Flame is near to that Dragon Blade, about almost 70% here as he's going to try and farm it up. He can't play in close, though, because of the man.
Can't really afford to close to this. Seems to be dashing. You're going to get frozen up. You can take an off angle like this and just poke in from behind and get yourself 90% of the way to that ultimate. Crocs separated by the wall, just being kept alive by the immortality field. Goes charge to get out of it. Zaitor finds the pick onto Crocs, and it's now Little Flame trying to make the blade find the value the rest of the team could not. We'll find one, looking for the second season of 3. Crocs to reflect and gets the pick. Looking good here for a retake by Angry Titans.
What an absolutely spectacular immortality field by Doggo. Keeps everyone alive. We saw Crocs going down several times to below 50 HP. But they couldn't get the finish, and that bought enough time for the Dragon Blade to come in to clean up kills there as well. And weirdly, not an expensive fight at all for Angry Titans. Coming back in, they're going to have the Gravitic Flux, they're going to have the Amplification Matrix. They're going to be able to dissuade an attack here from Roar.
The first one out is going to be that High Noon is answered by Love. Kind of zoning each other away from those ultimates, and neither one finding the kill they were maybe hoping for. Next up on the board is going to be the Shatter, and the Blizzard available here for Roar. Either one of those relentless could be absolutely massive. There's going to be the Rally, the Sound Barrier, the Float, the Sound Barrier from Admiral Raptor here too as well. Timo still holding on to that Shatter. Hasn't found anywhere to put it just yet. In the meantime, Uki is going to drop there in the 5v6 and committing the Shatter. Love finds Zaitor, but the freeze comes through and Timo is able to find Crocs, but he doesn't have the numbers advantage, and that is going to be another reset. Angry Titans still in control.
And in the Admiral Raptor, gets out of the last minute, but unfortunately his team was not there to join him. So Roar, they use nearly everything in that fight, and as a result, they're going to switch up their tank line here. So Orisa Sigma back in play, Admiral Raptor going over to the Brigitte, which you highlighted as being a character he was doing pretty well on in his last couple of games. They're walking in to a Dragon Blade. Earthshatter, though, as Little Flame, it's a little bold. Gonna get out. No problem there.
Oh,
the Flag Shatter!
Shatter from Crop finds the charge, squishes the Orisa. And now Little Flame has the Blade on board, not going to need it as Crocs finds the value with the Fire Strike. Little Flame on the high ground will receive the stun, but he's right up close and personal. Ian takes him down. Last fight territory, and they're playing right by the spawn doors, Lafon.
Oh, this is going to be the last second contest as well, as Timo gets to point on the Wrecking Ball.
They need to move over into back just to stop this recontest coming through. Finds the flashbang, finds the pick. Timo goes down. Love has the High Noon, has the Amplification Matrix. Little Flame away in the back's going to find stuff happening with the Dragon Blade. Ruby swaps over onto the Tracer, but this is going to be too little, too late. There aren't that many players for Raw left alive in this, and the kills coming through for Angry Titan. It's looking like we're going to see them taking Ilios.
Yeah, that is going to be map number 1, 2 Angry Titans. And while round 1 was close, round 2 less so, as Angry Titans make their rotations correctly and shot out a couple of plays that that Roar was attempting to make. There was only a couple of avenues of opportunity, but that one fight where Doggo keeps everyone alive in close, a big difference maker. And it helps Angry Titans snowball their way into a victory here on map number 1.
And Doggo really stood out for me that map as a support that was doing just her absolute utmost to keep everybody alive in the fight. You know, you sometimes see people pick up the Moira or the Brig and maybe get a little bit overzealous on the damage, and it's a good sign of somebody that fully understands their role. They don't tend to stray too far into those tendencies, except when needed. Maybe not quite the showing that we were expecting from Roar in that first map, given the way I was hyping up in particular Admiral Raptor after yesterday's performance, though.
Yeah, we didn't actually see a ton of Brig from Admiral Raptor, though, right? We saw mostly Lucio play coming out, and Lucio is in a tough position right now. If you're not rushing down targets with the Lucio, you're not getting a ton of value, and it's tough to really say how good a Lucio is performing if your team isn't performing well. But certainly interested to see how if that evolves in map number 2, which is going to be hybrid, and Blizzard World is, of course, that map. So. Coming through, definitely a player to continue to keep your eye out on, but I mean, pleasantly surprised with the cohesion from Angry Titans, because as they've kind of played out longer, they've gotten better and better. Unfortunately for them, here in the last day of Contenders Trials, a bit of a bittersweet moment, but certainly they've looked much improved over this week.
I imagine almost if you were a Contenders Trials team, what you would like is a pre-Contenders Trial warm-up trial, just to get you to that point that you naturally get to at the end of Trials. Sadly, we've not got that in place, and they've just got to make do with scrims and whatever bonus they can get over the course of the week. Looks like we're about to go into Blizzard World, and Lafon, given what we've seen from our team so far today on Blizzard World, are we just going to be looking at more of the Genji program?
I would expect that, but to be fair, in our previous match of the day, we saw there was that hybrid, the dive adjacent composition that was coming through from one of our teams. So certainly the teams can, if they feel they have advantage on a certain different comp, to surprise us. But I would not be surprised to see that poke composition at all.
Kind of fond of saying that there's a reason the meta is the meta. It's typically the comp that you can get the most out of by putting the least into. It's the most energy efficient composition, and sometimes there's just no good reason to run anything else unless you happen to have specialists on your team. We don't have that information just yet for these guys, so kind of expecting to see that.
I mean, one thing to note is that it allows you compositions that are not meta in the current patch tend to be, I mean, they're technically playable, but the room for error is so tiny. You cannot make mistakes. Whereas in a couple of these compositions that we've come to get used to, mistakes are par for the course, and so you can reduce the amount of them or increase the amount of them you can make while still willing out fights. But that being said, it is actually going to be Eli on the Mei here, so that is a major difference from these two comps. Looking for more of a brawl style here in close from Roar.
And of course, Angry Titans making themselves known on the high ground. Eli's going to be able to wall them out, and they get a lot of free passage here without taking the damage. Flame playing some crazy off angles here. A few shurikens in to the back of the Angry Titans as Raw Esports as they rotate through, but kind of a slow rotation here. There's the wall. Nice big hold with a three-shot combination. There's the Anthem once again. See a little bit mistimed there from Love, but he's already at 60% on the way to the ultimate.
Ooh, it's going to be a long rotation there from Angry Titans. They've already given up 1 point or 1 tick.
And they just completely crumble in this fight. Fuki with TNTs able to take Little Flame out of the fight, and then once that table leg is pulled out, the whole thing just comes crashing down around them.
A bit of an awkward scouting phase there from Angry Titans. They don't recognize the Mei, and as a result, they can't really take a fight on point as Eli just slows them down. And, you know, now you're in a really awkward position as you don't get a ton of value in that last fight. Roar now have control of the high ground as well. But you can't push into a Mei very easily without,
really,
you know, taking some damage. Yeah,
you don't want to get frozen.
All right, in this next fight, though, I mean, you can see Angry Titans making a long rotation. They want to get the high ground. Fuki's so low, they get him. All right, good start.
That's huge, yeah. Fuki down, Immortality out early as well. Raw going to rotate back out of the line of damage and away until they are in a position to come back in.
Actually, with Teemo going down, they're going to buy some more ult percentage here for Angry Titans players. Little Flame trying to farm that Dragon Blade up. 85% playing a little close to Flame.
Yeah, we'll need a couple more shurikens before that's really starting to get the bonfire going here for Little Flame. But a lot available, and this we saw in the previous round. This is such a good place to be holding on point B.
Yeah, it certainly is. You have to make the rotation to push them off the high ground, and you know, Angry Titans are choosing the passive approach again with that Mei. You're walking into so much damage here.
There's going to be the Flux to start things off. A beautiful wall out from Eli stops the follow-up damage. We've got the rally ready to go here as well, but it's going to be again too little too late as Love finds the shot onto Fuki and takes him out of the fight. And in the meantime, Little Flame has been able to generate this Dragon Blade ready to go, and he's still in there dashing through. Gets too close to Admiral Raptor with the shot out of it. This is a fight that Angry Titans have already won.
Well, the Gravitic Flux is going to catch the front line.
Amplification Matrix there as well. Love commits the Bob, but he gets focused down incredibly quickly. And Raw have managed to turn this around. That was looking very much like a lost fight for them.
It was, but I mean, you know, they use the Gravitic Flux. They don't get any kills. Here's the rally now out from the defense. Dragon Blade over the top. Oh, that is such...
no, he spends way too long in the air, and Eli just knocks him out of the sky with the icicle. Fuki's turn with the Bob here. Throws it into the middle, landing on the cart, putting in a lot of pressure, and Angry Titans scattered to escape the incoming damage. Eli's going to have the Blizzard here, gets the Halt, sees them come in, gets it around the kinetic grass, and lands it on the target. Mortality Field goes down, and it becomes a shooting gallery for Teemo and the rest of Raw Esports.
That fight all started off with Lil Flame doing his best Icarus impersonation as he goes way too close to the sun and gets punished for his misdemeanors, and that's going to be the reset there. That was a fight that Angry Titans should have been a little bit more present in. Unfortunately, as we saw, no value from two of their biggest resources in the Dragon Blade and Rally. They have forced Eli to commit the Blizzard here, so they will have a fight here in this next engagement that they should have at least some room to work with, especially off the back of the Supercharger. Can they burn through the Rally armor of Admiral Raptor? It's all going to come down to that here from Angry Titans. There's so much time left on the clock.
I think we can say for Angry Titans that Love in particular, Love has been very good at finding a hit. And so we're going to be relying on one of those here from Love to really start things off. And very close to the Bob here. See the rotation through the backstage area here with Blizzard World.
I mean, that supercharger didn't get much value. It just bought a little bit of time here. And now it's Roar has the supercharger coming out.
Now Supercharger in a very defensible position here to team up, unlikely to be taken off the table anytime soon. And we're going to have the bot committed here as the rest of Angry Titans look to regress their way away from this incoming damage. But ult trade for ult here as National goes in with the Riveted Hook. We'll find one, takes his opposite number off the table, gets the second out onto Eli, but Funky has an angle here, but maybe a little bit too late to really make anything happen with it as Angry Titans starts a round up the fight.
Really good play by Canadian to bring that one back. Uses the Riveted Flux after the Immortality Field was committed and gets essentially 4 kills for his trouble. And again, that was a fight they needed to win. So credit to Canadian for bringing this back to Angry Titans' favor. Now, with that, Angry Titans actually have some room to work with. They have some breathing room, so to speak, as they have their support ultimates back online here. So they will be able to mirror out Roar on their entry.
Now taking the lead here, of course, we'll have the Riveted Flux as you mentioned, but Little Flame is on the high ground here and has a bead on where Fuki might be, gets him close and takes him out. So one-man advantage already, and Little Flame is still constantly playing these flanking angles and providing so much pressure. Team was able to get the equalizer. Dragonblade coming out now for Little Flame. Will take out the Emerald Field and Admiral Raptor with more or less the same swipe. Fuki's going to get Starboy on the way out, but it is Angry Titans to hold.
All right. Now, I mean, again, a somewhat forced fight there for Angry Titans, and they're dealing with the Blizzard coming forth from Eli in this next fight. If they can continue this high ground defense, Eli's going to have a hard time sort of landing it. Supercharger early.
Looks like that Bob may have gone a little bit further into the backline than Fuki really liked, although it has managed to find luck. It's going to stop the recontest coming through for the amount of time that Bob is on the field. Eli still with the Blizzard. I can't find anybody really grouped up enough to secure several kills with it just yet, and we see Little Flame dash out of the line of fire. Angry Titans working their way back away from the aggression coming in from Raw, but now Eli has the high ground, can just lob this Blizzard in from the high ground. There's nothing left really to contest it, and Angry Titans continue to fall back and back and back as Eli moves in closer to the spawn. It's now Teemo walled off and the Blizzard out here as we approach the final minute and the final handful of meters on the point here for Raw Esports. Angry Titans are keeping this contest going that little bit longer as Canadian gets demexed and destroyed, and Doggo goes down. 45 minutes on the clock for Raw Esports.
They did get below that 1 minute mark, Phil, because if they hadn't, that would have been a pretty disastrous look for their offense. That being said, now all they have to do is complete the map. Time bank is irrelevant. Obviously, I'd like to have more time, but at the end of things, just completing the map is all that Angry Titans need to do to give themselves a second chance here. And that last fight was so messy, right? I mean, never really a true fight in the last half of point 3 once Roar got the cart moving.
I don't mind telling you, Lafon, it was a little tricky to keep track of exactly what was going on through all of those fights. So thank you for the moments of clarity you brought into that one. Looking at that time bank, though, it's worth noting that Angry Titans had a really, really disastrous point A defense. So Raw, if they can manage even a minute more defense here on point A, they're setting themselves up to be in a really good position in terms of maybe having this only cap in overtime for Angry Titans.
I mean, certainly. And I mean, the one other thing, too, is that Eli is going to continue running this May, which is going to make life very difficult for the front line as they have to kind of dance around that freeze that May brings to the table. And if you're, I mean, Little Flame needs to, I think, start farming the Blaze just a little bit faster. It's a tough ask, but what you're going up against is if you're not burning the tanks down of the opposition, then it's going to be advantage in these brawl fights, definitely to the defense of Roar off the back of that May gameplay. So keep an eye out for that here as things move forward.
What do you think it'll form? Raw Esports up on the high ground for now. We're trying to fight to do just this. Looking for hold combos here, but I'm not shooting in a way to stop that really connecting too much. Scouting done, position given up instead, opting to defend on this much more robust point A point hold. The Flame, all the way to Dragonblade already with less than 30 seconds on the clock. Might be looking for that quick climb in the ult that you were looking for in the last piece of analysis, but a very slow contact here.
Yeah, and Angry Titans have not really gained positioning. They're looking. If they can get this kill on Tsunaru, that'd be huge, but.
Wow, managed to turn out the accretion there, but it's going to be Love to get the first pick. He is now down as Naru trades it back. Admiral Raptor starting to show up in the kill feed a little bit more now that he's over on the rig, and there's going to be a hold here for Raw.
Not just a hold, it was such. They took a significant amount of time off the clock as well, with the fact that Angry Titans kind of just sat around looking for the avenue of attack they wanted to get to, and so a full minute in that fight. That Roar, no longer has to contend with. Coming into this next.
Sorry, LeBron.
No. That coming in, Angry Titans, they have to start to find the value from these resources, as defensively the amplification matrix is online.
I'm going to say Angry Titans are coming up on the CPS. In fact, Little Flame a couple of shurikens away from having this ready to go. Zylo starts things off there with the amplification matrix. And Angry Titans quite wisely get out of the way. The rest of the is going to find themselves pinned up a little bit here. Bob coming out now from Love, and Love themselves getting a pick onto Teemo. Looking good now for Angry Titans as they secure that first tick. And Knason rotates on point to start that cap going. Has the Flux lifts them into the air. Stop the contest coming through. And does enough damage to them to make this just clean of duty now for Angry Titans. TNT over the top takes a lot of damage, falls very low, but is able to keep themselves alive.
All right, so not necessarily the most painless point A defense there for, offense for Angry Titans, but they get it done with a pretty significant time bank, so they're okay with how that kind of went. Coming into this next engagement, I mean, you're kind of keeping an eye out for, you said, the supercharger and. Clearly, the Dragon Blade here from Little Flame as they look to get this high ground. Eli is close to that Blizzard, though, and if the front line gets a little too aggressive, that can be laid down pretty easily to shut out the push.
Start things off, though. Dragon Blade and Rally, and it's going to be Little Flame finding Pookie and Admiral Raptor here as well. And this is going to be a stupendously quick fight on the offense here.
That's that Supercharger Dragon Blade combo we highlighted at the start of that fight. And it's as clean as you like. They did also layer the Rally just to make sure that Little Flame had that little extra HP to survive throughput. That being said, this next fight is very much in Roar's favor. Supercharger available and... Speak of the May, there she appears. The wall...
That nearly went so badly for Pookie, getting all of that TNT in the face. That couldn't have been timed with more comedic perfection. Love on the low ground, has the bot ready to go, and nobody is as yet touching the... Almost got C9 on that one. Going to send the Bob in here to start things off as Little Flame finds Pookie. The Supercharger out now for Teemo, but might not have the right number of teammates to make this happen. And as the Flux comes through, we see the kill start to rack up now for Angry Titans, and they are coming into point C with a monumental time bank just as soon as they get going.
I mean, there was no defense there on second phase at all from Roar Esports. Little Flame giving the old what for as he gets assisted by Doggo. Oh, Teemo's gonna die here?
Oh, he can't get out. Doggo tracks them down. This is absolutely disastrous for Roar Esports. Little Flame has to back out for now, takes a lot of damage and wants to escape with that blade ready to go in the next fight. Angry Titans don't have a lot of ults to work with.
No, and they're, again, still going into the Blizzard, which is going to be a lot easier to land here, so long as it's not denied by Knason or perhaps even Little Flame's deflect. Certainly a tougher ask than you may think.
Really
coming in
to start this defense up with the rally.
Certainly. So yeah, Admiral Raptor and Eli, two players to keep your eyes on here.
Ooh, Little Flame with the blade finds the dash reset kill onto Pookie. Needs that last swipe to take out the immortality field, so only gets one out of that. But Angry Titans very firmly in control of the cut. We'll see Eli pop the blizzard, but it looks like nobody's been caught inside it. Stun comes through, and Little Flame finds the pick onto Zytor. Bob coming through again from Love Charge very quickly. I believe lapped Pookie on this ultimate. Starboy has the rally here as well, and with just under 3 minutes on the clock and Crocs pressing up to spawn door, it's not looking great here for Raw.
No, it isn't. The immortality field's gonna go down. Zytor, oh, wow. This is 1v1 fight. I mean, it doesn't matter. The fight was already over. A little theatrics there as the point completes from Angry Titans, and it must be said that aside from that one sort of fight on first point, there hasn't really been a defense for Roar Esports here on Blizzard World.
has been looking a little bit sad for Raw here. This was not the Raw Esports I was looking forward to seeing after yesterday's games, and I think this is starting to give us our answer as to where the stratification lies in the level of our teams in Contenders trials. Raw definitely putting up a fight here, but it's so far not been strong enough punches to really land that killer blow on Angry Titans.
I mean, that's absolutely the case. And I think the one thing to kind of highlight here is that on the offense, there is still room for Roar to kind of get value here, Phil. I think there is an element, like we've talked about this. If Roar can unlock the point in OT, like point A in OT, and get the cart moving, and then win a fight with that first fight. If they can win that first fight in OT, then they can start to snowball things and make things a little bit difficult. Sometimes that 1 minute time bank is more of a blessing than a curse, but it all depends on that first fight going heavily in your favor. So, that's all a hypothetical at this point. That first fight from the Roar Esports is going to have to be spectacularly clean.
Well, 1 minute on the clock, and no changes in composition here for either team. We're going to see Eli in on the May once more, and this did work out very well for them the first time through. Let's see if Angry Titans have learned the lessons, or if that May wall is going to stuff them up a second time.
Oh, Little Flame is playing so aggressively here.
Oh yeah, wants to go for the spawn hold.
Wait, is Eli going back to spawn to switch?
Yeah, he's
yes, he is. Okay. I mean, that's 30 seconds gone, though.
Oh, big hold in TNT as well. Medcraft a little bit too slow to take that out of the offing. There's the whole secretion combo, but they're able to throw in the coach getting keep themselves going on that one. This is 10 seconds, just a little bit more on the clock here for Rory Esports, and they're not even that close to touching the point to get this contest going.
Doggo gets so low, but she's going to stay alive. Zytor, everyone! Rory Esports.
They've got themselves on the point, and they've got the defensive capacity here. Luke's going to throw in the bob, and somehow, in the final seconds of the fight, it's looking very much like Raw are going to make this happen as Eli gets the dash resets going and starts to find the kills. He has to back away to the waiting safety of the Orisa shield, or else he's taken out, but they did this just in the very cusp of overtime.
That was the fight that they needed to win, right? That was the important thing. And Knason was taken down so late that he's only just now respawning. So that means that Angry Titans are not going to get to, the card's going to move forward quite a bit before Angry Titans will get that first real fight. And while that all is happening, I mean, that's going to buy time for Roar to start farming after their resources. If Roar, can get an ult up here and actually get some value, they could continue this push forward. However,
I'm watching these numbers so closely here upon. I'm just waiting for Knason to get this flux online, because I think this is going to be a large part of dictating how this goes. As Luke finds the opening pick onto Teemo, Immortality Field goes down, and Little Flame now has the blade ready to go. He dives into back. He knows the Immortality Field is no longer a threat. He comes to the 5-1 before he takes him out with the melee, but it is a massive numbers advantage here for Angry Titans. They knock Raw off the cart, and that is as far as that's going to go.
Great minds think alike. You were calling out the Gravitic Flux right as I was going to mention it as well. So the section people off in overtime is such a strong ability, and the Gravitic Flux, starts that all off indeed. And now, I mean, 3 minutes just shy of it, 2:58 on the clock for Angry Titans here. As again, this is if that first fight is clean for Angry Titans, then you're starting to look at a pretty significant. A pretty difficult hold, actually, for Roar. So all of it lies yet again on this first fight. Can you break through that defense and take advantage of your superior time bank?
I just kind of wonder if, with 3 minutes in the clock and not all that far to take it, you can kind of afford to charge your ults that a little bit slowly here. Like, the passive ult charge is going to give you most of what you need, even if you can't find the picks here, and then just all roll onto point, press Q, and win the fight convincingly enough to match that payload distance.
Yeah, Love here is, I mean, not to get too caught into the spawns at the start. I wonder if he's going to go for, the grapple shot. That would be interesting. I would not be surprised to see the Ashe come back out. But this time it's going to be Roar going back to the Genji. Eli playing the projectile Shimada. I mean, both of them are projectiles, but playing the much stronger Genji here. As May wasn't finding a ton of value. There's the teleport. Looks for the Widow shot. Nothing.
Too many shields. Not a lot you can do about that.
Is he going to stay on Widow? No, he's going to go back to spawn. Okay, going to the Ashe.
Makes just so much more sense.
Dynamite is such a strong ability, even with the nerf cooldown.
Yeah, two seconds may not even have been enough on that nerf, but we'll see how that washes out. Still, Raw Esports already over on point, picking up the high ground, but the Flame takes the majority of that TNT to the base. Nice triple charge given over to Spooky. They know exactly where he is here. They're not giving him a huge amount of space to work with.
Now, Angry Titans are going to make a long rotation here. They want to take the defensive setup, force the high ground to their advantage as Roar comes to meet them.
Won't quite find that whole crucial combo
Ooh, the stun.
Find the damage, and Immortality has to come out, goes down just as quickly. Both Immortality taken out now, and Nathan's going to be the first to fall here as Raptor from Starboy. But the DPS line here for Angry Titans is starting to make things turn around a little bit. In fact, both supports now incredibly low, and it's going to be down to Zytor to hop up into the edge to himself alive, but Eli's able to do enough to bring this back, and Raw are going to keep hold with half the time bank burn.
Little Flame has the Dragon Blade online here, so there is room for, I mean, that last fight teetered on a knife's edge quite literally as the dash resets came through from Little Flame in the end, but the sustain was too strong for Admiral Raptor and Zytor, so they're going to hold there. Now, again, is it going to be the high ground rotation? Are they going to be able to take the long flank in? That's half their time bank gone. That's half Angry Titans' time bank gone. So they have one fight really remaining here. This is the one that has to count.
Kind of want to press the advantage here and use what they've got to secure an early couple of picks. Oh, Little Flame, he gets caught right in the middle of the amplification matrix, and look who all got a hand in getting that kill. The amplification matrix out from Angry Titans now. Not able to find a pick with it just yet as Raw Esports back away from the incoming damage. The one thing it has done is secure the A-line into the point. Nason not quite able to get out of the way of that gravitic flux of fruit that takes him out with the TNT. Little Flame goes for the hero play with the Dragon Blade. We'll now find Admiral Raptor looking for a second to keep his team in this fight. Finds Fuki looking to get the melee kill. Not quite able to get it, and Fuki just takes him out with a bit of help there from Eli, and now 25 seconds left to go on the clock, and we could be going here to one map apiece.
Hello.
This is disastrous for Angry Titans. They looked for that one play, but they couldn't find it, and now all the tools are in Roar's point. They actually have the Dragon Blade here. They have the positional advantage, and the time bank is in their favor. Roar are looking for the go button.
Start things off with the bomb, but it's going to be Eli that takes themselves out of the fight. Will get rocked out of that ultimately. Flame taking Eli down. Get Starboy here, and now it's down to Naru on the point, trying to go toe-to-toe with two tanks with the help of the team. Will find the picks there. Admiral Raptor with the whip shot kill onto Nason. There's just nobody left alive in Angry Titans that can make this happen. And that's it, 1-1 with a phenomenal hold there from Raw Esports.
Yeah, taking full advantage of the timings that they had, and Angry Titans just taking too long to execute on their chosen play. Trying for the hero plays, it must be said, Phil, and they do not come out on time. And as a result, Roar Esports play cool and collected and take map number 2. So we're tied up 1 apiece here. And Angry Titans have to be a little bit frustrated with throwing away that much of a time bank advantage. 2 minutes and 15 seconds difference between the two teams in their time bank. But it is, in fact, Roar Esports coming out with the victory here in map number 2. So the third and perhaps final map coming up next.
Not entirely sure what map we're going to next, but of course there are a number of which where a draw is possible. So who knows? Maybe we'll get much more of a series than anybody was really expecting on this one.
I mean, Assault is the next map type, so therefore Temple of Anubis will be the one that comes through. So, you know, a draw, very much a possibility here in map number 3.
Yeah, if there's any map that can bring you a draw, it will be Temple of Anubis. Quite a slow and grindy map, particularly on that point B. I have to say though, Lafont, it's a little bit heartening to see Raw Esports punch back here. I think we did them a little bit of a disservice when we said, you know, it was an unfortunate time bank. They maybe weren't looking quite as good as Angry Titans. This is much more the caliber that I saw from them yesterday, so I'm glad to not have to eat yet another set of words on a prediction about a team. Looking forward to seeing if they can keep that momentum up as we come into Anubis.
I think we'll have to go into conversation about how to kind of hedge your bets when you talk about a team that's doing well, right?
I'm an all-in kind of guy, Lafon. That's it. I'm either all in or I don't believe in them at all. I have no middle ground.
I mean, that's a respectable place to be. Certainly, it's more of a nothing more frustrating than hearing you know, someone kind of wishy-washy on their predictions. So credit to you. But no, I mean, heading to map number 3, this is still anyone's game. I think it's still an advantage Angry Titans from the gameplay that I saw. I don't think that the defense there on the second set of attacks that came through from Roar Esports. The question I had, or the concern I had, was that Angry Titans were playing so slowly. They tried to make a rotation, then they split their squad up, and tried to do a 2 and a 4 kind of setup, which I mean works, but not when you're playing the low ground, and not when you're playing sort of in a place where you can't support both sides of that split, right? So instead, it just became more of an isolated 2 targets than a crossfire. And I think for Angry Titans, they had room to kind of get value from their resources, from their ultimates. They had the Dragon Blade, they had the Gravitic Flux, but again, stepping just a little too far out of their means of the supports being able to keep them alive, and Roar Esports took full advantage. So while, yes, credit to Roar Esports for a fantastic defense, I still have to give the edge slightly to Angry Titans here in this next map. But again, it all comes down to execution, and there is a small wrinkle in sort of all of what I just said, and that is that because it's Temple of Anubis, because it's Assault, Eli has already played the Mei multiple times. Mei is very strong here on this first point of Temple of Anubis, both offense and defense. So if that comes to play, and if Eli can play it cleanly, then Roar Esports may actually be able to step out ahead.
Quite possibly, and I don't know that we've seen much other than the Genji out from Little Flame. I think we did see the Sombra from it on Ilios.
Yep.
And I don't know from experience whether Mei is really in his hero pool. You've got to assume that as a flex DPS, you'll have had to have played enough Mei when Mei was supremely in the meta to have a good grasp on that. But
certainly,
still kind of untested for Contenders trials as far as I'm aware.
Yeah, it's the first time I've seen him play in a team environment. So certainly his Genji has been pretty good, but is the flexibility there? We don't know. We don't have that sort of game tape on him quite yet. But as time goes on, I'm sure he will build it, and so not an issue there. But as we head into Temple of Anubis, it is going to be that the first setup, of course, and at least initially, we're going to see the Mei out here on the defense.
Yeah, which, as you were saying, not really surprising to anybody. It's strong on the offense, it's strong on defense. It buys you so much space to work.
Yeah, and you can really just stop pushes entirely. Assault has so many early choke points that, well, we were talking about Little Flame. Does he have the Mei? And at least initially, starting off on it.
Fuki maybe almost very nearly had an angle there onto Love, but will swap back over onto the Ashe, having been unsuccessful at finding that opening pick, and Eli just looking in bewilderment as that TNT connects. Wall comes up and buys a huge amount of space for them to get through. The counter wall there is even better. And even if they didn't get kills, it has very early forced out that immortality field. And we're going to see Crocs just aggress back in, catching them in the rotation, and Angry Titans taking to task and taking to town with them.
And this is going to be the full wipe, actually, and no kills for the offense there. I do not think they were expecting the Mei wall. I genuinely do not think they were expecting the wall to come through as aggressively as it did. Little Flame doing a spectacular job there at sectioning off the choke. And what a push from Angry Titans once they saw that come through.
And they did a lot of work here for both Love and for Dogger, who both very nearly have the role. Starboy as well. Admiraptor getting kind of close on the rally, but that's all they've got ready, and it's not even going to be ready for this fight.
Yeah, this time, though, the wall catches
splits out Zaitor, splits out Naru, both of them going down. That is another failed rotation here from Raw Esports. The Angry Titans just kind of making this look easy right now.
Not only are they making it look easy, they're doing it for free. The only thing they've really committed has been the wall in each of these fights. And Little Flame doing spectacular work. Perhaps not so good at parkour, but on the Mei wall itself, on the timing, has been simply superb. So really, really putting 2 fight wins essentially off 1 cooldown.
Caster's notes, back to Little Flame. Good work on the walls. Please work on your platforming skills. Can Mason get to Admiraptor? And looks like we're going to see the repeat here, although Angry Titans not quite so quick to press the go button.
No, I think they recognized that they didn't want to quite force it. They didn't feel they were in good enough position to clean up the kill. And again, Admiraptor was down, so still worried about perhaps the amplification matrix or something like that could come in to kind of haunt them.
But right now,
this wall can still provide gatekeeper. Oh, okay, no, Admiraptor's in play. He got in. He's safe.
Although actually, it looks like we've still got Fuki trapped on the outside. Amplification Matrix from Zaitor, and Fuki with the off angle takes Starboy out of the fight, and that is it. Despite an incredibly impressive set of holds, it only took that one good team fight where they finally got up to the plinth for Raw Esports to win this one out.
What a sad place. What a sad place to be for a May player. Oh, man. But, I mean, there's so much time taken off the clock there. And they're going to stall a little bit more as Crocs somehow gets back to the stage. And,
Was Crocs hiding? Was he invisible?
Maybe.
How do you not spot Marissa?
Yeah, she can be sneaky when she wants to, kind of crouching down in a corner. I don't know, I'm grasping straws there. Now it's going to be down to the layered blizzards, right? The mirror blizzards, Eli and Lil Flame. If one May player can get a better blizzard off, then that's the team that's going to win the fight, in my opinion.
Man, these walls from Little Flame have been great. Sadly, there wasn't the throughput of damage there to secure the pick, and we will see Raw Esports
They did force the immortality field, though, so you can't push if you are... Right now, you can't really push aggressively if you are Roar.
Wall into the wall, and a block away in the back line. Little Flame using the geometry to get out of the way of that. First Blizzard's going to come out from Eli, and Little Flame goes from 2 answering Blizzard. However, Love and Kanason are able to get out of the way of that and start to secure kills. So they managed to win that fight on the back of a Bob and a Gravitic Flux.
And they didn't even commit the Blizzard either from Little Flame. So that is, not only was Eli forced to use his, Little Flame has, still has that crowd control ability. So pushing in this 6v6 unit, if Little Flame can layer that one down here in this next fight, can really mess up Roar's day here. Again, that wall from Little Flame providing so much value in a fight. And I think that has been, sort of a difference maker here for Angry Titans in this match.
Yeah, really answering the question we had at the start as to whether or not Little Flame has a good May in the back pocket.
There's another good wall.
Man, that's going to be a nice pair of walls there. One to block off the entrance, one to block off the exits. No kills on it just yet, but Angry Titans haven't needed to use any ults to win another team fight.
They did commit the amplification matrix in at some point in that brawl, but they still have the immortality field.
Amplification matrix this time out from the side, so Little Flame able to wall that off. Has to go into the ice block to stop the through for the damage taken out of the fight. Gets found out, and the Brig aggresses up onto the high ground, but the Blizzard is now out from Little Flame, trapping them all in the corridor, and even the Fortify is not going to keep you in this fight.
Our boy wanted to stagger Tebow out a little bit, and Tebow said, I'm having none of that.
Nope.
So they send both back to spawn swiftly, and again, what an inexpensive fight for Angry Titans. They use the Blizzard. Doggo's going to be up to her amplification matrix fairly shortly. And, I mean, Angry Titans are looking pretty handy off the back of that, of Little Flame's May play.
It's been quite an impressive turnaround from a Genji that was, kind of serviceable, kind of okay. There's the nice wall, pops them up onto the high ground, can't find the follow-up damage, and Mortality Builders again going to come out nice and early, and we are going to see Raw Esports once more back out of the line of fight. You don't have to win these fights if you can take out that key utility.
Love actually uses the Bob at some point in that play. Supercharger early.
Big looks at his 3-1, able to fortify their way out of it, and we're now down to the final minute of the fight here. Team with the final love, and we've got the Bob in the back here for Fuki, provides some angles of control. No ults left available now that both of those amplification ultimates are off the table, and Naru has the flux, throws Crocs up into the air, and Raw Esports finally take control of the point. But they're now down to 35 seconds.
I mean, and Tebow gets taken out by Love as well, so there is still a contest available for Angry Titans.
That's right, and we'll just see Little Flame tag onto the point and burn precious seconds off of this one. But now we have the Blizzard coming out from Eli. Hasn't managed to stop anybody getting onto the point to keep this going, and it's looking increasingly like this may be an overtime cap here, as Love is able to tag back in with the Doomfist, and it buys the space for Little Flame to get the Blizzard off. It will trap Fuki down the alley away from the points. We're now getting dangerously close to overtime, and it's only Admiral Raptor left on the point. They get knocked off out of it by the Wrecking Ball of Kanason, taken out eventually, as well as the wall comes up to stop the recon test coming through. Overtime ticks down, and just shy of 2 points on Anubis.
I mean, we've been singing the praise of Little Flame all map long, and I think it still needs to continue, Phil, because that defense, that whole stems from the fact that Little Flame was staring down the barrel of an amplification matrix, gets the wall off in time, survives long enough to farm up the Blizzard, and lays it down to force the fight to go in Angry Titan's favor. Yes, there was a great play by Liv there to get the to play the Doomfist, to get the pickoffs and the supports, of course. But Little Flame has really stepped up here on map number 3, and the Mei gameplay has been stellar from this player.
It's a really nice surprise to be able to ask the question, oh, does he have a good Mei? And then to come out in the middle of the match and go, actually, yeah, do you know what? That's pretty good. Always nice to see that rounded out here. But LaFon, we're pleased to hear this is now no longer drawable. We're only going to see this one final round here on Temple of Anubis, and it's down to Angry Titans to get just that second tick, more or less, on the board for them to take this series.
Yeah, it's a lot on the board. I mean, the offense for point A, the Angry Titans, they look dominant, but Mei has defender's advantage. When she's on the high ground, it's so much easier to land those walls. So we were singing Little Flame's praises, but can he do the same in a more difficult environment here on their offense? As I would expect Love to go and look for that one pickoff and then switch to the Ashe after going for that shot.
Yeah, we saw Fuki do the same at the start of their offensive round. And, slightly different line of approach here. Maybe waiting things out a little bit. Going for an angle over onto the bridge, looking for somebody holding back. Doesn't seem to be any just yet. Love is committing to this.
Yeah.
Okay, up on the high ground. A lot of shields, not many heads to be clicked, but no sign of going back and changing just yet as the rest of Angry Titans move their way in.
Okay, they make the rotation. They realize they don't really want Dark Room. They're going to go over through main.
Oh, there's the opener. Fuki taken out. Big rock into Love, but the damage has already been done. Man advantage now for Angry Titans as they start to push their way in. They've still got to be careful. There is a Mei on the field. This could stuff them up massively with a big split. There's the start split for Little Flame. Doesn't find too much value. Has to drop it to allow his team to progress in. Gets that primary fire in over the top, but immediately to drop back into the ice block. And Love is going to find a second. The second Fuki gets back to the point. Love is going to take them out. Over on the high ground once again. This is now a shooting gallery for Love. The pressure they're providing and the point presence from Knason and the rest of the team is going to be more than enough to secure them a very quick point take.
Widow is the feast or famine character, and Love is feasting right now. The Widowmaker finding so much value in that fight. Fuki's not having a good time. Gets picked off twice in a row. The first pick in a team fight. So that's going to be now point A unlocked in 5.5 minutes to get that just shy of 2 ticks.
Wow, this has been such a dominant showing. And Fuki's going to swap over onto the Widow to mirror here, but Love's currently got the advantage with the infosight zone.
Yeah, you can see how passively Fuki has to play, because you can't take a 1v1 against infosight.
It looked like they were trying to give a bit of a fake out there, going back to the score, but is now still on the Widow. Blizzard comes out from Eli, but it's too little too late. Timo and Eli now both down. Croc's able to find that pick. We'll have the supercharger here as well. Immortality down, but the freeze comes through onto Naru. Crocs finds the damage there, and that counter's starting to tick up for Angry Titans. Not quite got the one tick just yet, but it is a matter of time. This needs to be a phenomenal start of a recon test. Fuki will find Crocs, but again, it's just too little, too late. The kills are there in abundance here for the Angry Titans. That's it. One last go at a contest here from the Wrecking Ball, who gets frozen up, isolated, taken out, knocked off the point. The Blizzard comes down, and Angry Titans, the blistering time bank on Anubis, are going to come away the victors in this series.
Making it look easy on their offense, no questions there. And it all really just a fantastic gameplay from the Angry Titans on Temple of Anubis to close out the series. But I have to say, I'm very impressed with what Roar brought to the table here, especially in map number 2 on Blizzard World in the disadvantaged time bank. So a good play, good game indeed from both these squads, Angry Titans versus Roar Esports. One has to step away the winner, and it is Angry Titans, but head up all the way for Roar Esports, certainly.
Absolutely, and again, we've come back to this a couple of times this evening. It's only the end for this month. Like, with the changes to Contenders, Roar Esports are going to be back next month, and they've got so much VOD footage to work with. They've got so much momentum. They've got so much time to practice and to prepare. So these guys are going to be a team that we've got to watch out for in the next round of trials.
Yeah, absolutely. No, absolutely. There's so much there that I think can be built on if you're Roar. There's so much work and Angry Titans as well. I mean, they're looking at this and they're like, we didn't make contenders off the back of this, but coming into the next set of trials, you're looking to Angry Titans to take that next step yet again. This is a team that we've had high expectations for quite some time, but I think that's it's a matter of time until they put the next step together and really hammer home their next journey in trials.
But hey, Lafon, it's the end of the match, and that means it's time for an interview. And it looks like we've got DPS player from Angry Titans, Little Flame, coming into the chat to talk us through his thoughts and feelings on that map. Hey, Little Flame, congratulations. How are you feeling? Oh, Love, sorry, that is entirely my bad. Sorry, I thought I heard Little Love, welcome, congratulations. How are you feeling?
It feels good.
Okay, great. Well,
it feels sadly. I mean, we heard I think mid-match that avoided one their map, or at least one map, which means we can't make contenders, but it still feels very good to win.
Very close run thing though, to have to wait for a mid-match result shows that you guys were really up in contention for that second place spot.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
So, sorry, I don't want to make you dwell too much on having just missed out on that. So, we saw a lot of Genji from you in the opening matches there, and we had this question about
from Little Flame.
Sorry, do you know what? I'm all over the place, Love. This is entirely on me. My bad. I'm going to hand over to Lafon, who's maybe a little more collected than I am.
I mean, the Widowmaker does come out actually from you guys on that push on Temple of Anubis, and you look pretty spectacular with it. I think you took control basically of the the first pick off on Tafuki on your attack. I mean, is the Widowmaker play? I know we see a lot of players pick Widowmaker in the early phases to get just that one pick off. Sticking with it though, that's always a risk. Was it something that you guys have consistently planned for, or was that more spur of the moment? Like I feel the Widow right now. I can go for the.
I think it was more. I feel the Widow. It's kind of. When I picked the Widow, people are like, we should go Ashe instead. But I say Widow is more fun, and we can stay on it.
I mean, sometimes that fun moment needs to come in, and I mean, you made it work. So your team is probably at the end going, okay, I guess you were right in this particular instance. So it definitely bore fruit. Walk us through this. From Blizzard World, which was you guys had the 3-minute time bank to the 1 minute on your defense. You weren't able to eke that out. Heading into Temple of Anubis, though, I think you guys were definitely the dominant team on Temple of Anubis. Was there a mental reset there that had to come in, or was it more of a just let it go? We can come back in and take Temple of Anubis pretty convincingly.
I mean, I think we know from our results in scrims and previous contender matches that Blizzard World isn't our strongest map, but Temple of Anubis, on the other hand, is one of our more stronger maps, at least in the current map pool. And we felt like we had an advantage coming into the map, and we were very confident on our play. So there was kind of a mental reset of we know that we can play better on this map.
Right. I mean, past results almost always bear out in the future, so it makes sense to me there. What's next for you guys, though? Because obviously you guys don't make contenders yet, but I mean, still a lot to play for. You guys obviously performed very well here. You guys are going to keep, what's the next step for you for you in this journey?
I think, at least from what I know, we're going to try to stick together as our current roster, play the Open Division tournament, and then get trials and then contenders, because I believe we have a lot of potential in our roster, but it was quite a small time frame between us getting the roster together and the contenders matches or the trials matches.
Well, I can't wait to see what you guys are able to do with even more time playing together. Can't wait to see how you do in Open Division. Before we let you go back to your team to celebrate, anything you'd like to say, anybody you'd like to shout out before you
go? Not really.
Okay,
let's go Jaru, if anything.
Okay,
that's two in a row. Two in a row.
Well, thank you again very much for joining us, Liv. Sorry about the mix-up at the start. And
don't worry.
Thank you. Everybody else, thank you very much for tuning in to this incredibly hectic, incredibly busy week of Contenders Trials over here on the Bubble channel. Big thank you to everybody behind the scenes who's been facilitating this and making this work, and of course to Lafon for sticking with me today. And keep your eyes peeled to social media, guys, because Monkey Bubble does a lot more than just Contenders Trials. If you want top tier 2 and tier 3 coverage, it's the place to be, and we've doubtless got more coming your way in the not too distant future. Lafon, any closing words?
I mean, thank you for having me. It's been an excellent ride. Thank you to all the casters, players, teams, everyone in this scene who helped put Contenders Trials on this week, because it's been fantastic Overwatch over the breadth of it. And then, you know what? Keep an eye on upcoming Contenders. The winners from here move on, and we'll see them perform there as well.
And one more time from myself and LaFon, good night, and we hope to see you all in the not too distant future.